Shalom. First off, I want to start off by saying all praises, honor, and glory is due unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kakadash. All praises to the world calls God, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem in the name. Yahushai be the name of the only begotten Son. I also want to say double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, peace and mercy to the hopeful light preaching word and truth and sincerity on the brother Tazabah, the Great Millstone, Arizona camp. Lord will with another video to edify, and I'm gonna get right into this, man. I'm gonna let this play and we gonna hop into it.
Just went back and forth with a camp here in Atlanta, and it's clear we're not dealing with the same God. If it wasn't clear before, and it was clear before, but it's really clear now. I guess because the Most High has increased my wisdom and knowledge, right? To where like now, like I already knew this, but it's crystal clear now. They don't work for us. It's crystal clear. And we was predominantly talking about Jacob's trouble. And I'm like, hey, we're out of Jacob's trouble. Have we not been through trouble for the past 1,000 years? And their energy, the way how they were communicating, it was like, no, we're going to go through Jacob's trouble. This is going to happen to us.
And that's right. That's what it is. And he's absolutely right. We are worshiping two different powers. You are coming in the spirit of a Christian, not of an Israelite. You're not coming and talking about the character of Yahweh and Yahushai, the prophecies. You're coming at this thing like a Christian. Yeah, Jacob's been in tribulation in many generations. But that was prophecy. Now there's a generation, right? And there's a time where these things are going to be excessively heightened. And that's all in prophecy. And that's what Jacob's trouble is. Right? That's what Jacob's trouble is. We ain't been in Jacob's trouble yet. Jacob's been through troublesome times. Right? 70 AD was a troublesome time, but that was a prophecy as well. And in and of itself, it was a whole separate prophecy. Because it says, there's a prophecy Yahushua spoke about. That's Matthew 24 and starting at 14, it says, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." Now, in the time of Yahushua and the time of the disciples, the gospel was only preached to the known world, right? They hadn't gone over into the Americas, the Northern and South America. They hadn't gone into all the islands around the world to preach the gospel like that. They just went into the known world at the time, right? So right now is where the gospel's been preached in all the world. And what's doing the heavy lifting? The internet, right? And now this is how we know that the end's about to come, because this thing is going global. Right, bro? People are popping up in countries bros have never been in, saying the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. People all around the world are familiar with the Israelites or have heard some semblance of it. So now the end's about to come. Now it says, verse 15, it says, then, right, this jumps to a whole different time frame, right? Matthew's 24th chapter kind of jumps around in time. It says, verse 15, it says, "When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet, by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place," right? And when you go into the history on that, what was it? Was it Antiochus or was it what's his name? Man, it's not Antiochus. I think it is Antiochus Epiphanes. Put a idol in the temple, right? The abomination of desolation. It says, "Whoso readeth, let him understand. Then they which be in Judea, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains, and let them which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of the house, neither let him which is in the field return back to his clothes. Woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days," right? That give suck in those days, but pray ye that your flight be not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor shall ever shall be. Right? So right up until you get to the 19th verse, from the 15th to the 19th verse, this is all talking about 70 AD. Right? Because in 70 AD, what was it? They saw that thing happen, and those that believed, they fled into other countries. Anybody that stayed, right, or that went back into the city, they got trapped up in those sieges. That was that flee into the mountains, go, flee out of Jerusalem, get out of there, because the armies were coming, and that's what happened. Now, he believes that the fact that Jake went through slavery and now they're free, that somehow Jacob's troubles passed. No, slavery was just part of prophecy happened, and that if Jake wouldn't sit here and adhere to what the Lord said, Jeremiah 28 and 15, those curses would come upon Jake. That's all it is, man. It's a slew of different prophecies, and Jake just bundles them all together like anything that happened at one point fits all the scriptures. Nah, there's a time that's going to be worse than 70 AD. We'll get that. This is Jeremiah 28 and 15. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. You see? And what were the curses? Curse shall there be in the field, curse shall there be in the city, and curse shall there be in the field. And it keeps going, man. It goes into going into captivity on ships, Jeremiah 28 and 58. Is it 58? And 68, sorry, Salakia. It says, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt. Again, and when you go into that word Egypt, it's not talking about the landmass, right? It's talking about what Egypt represented, a house of bondage. When you go into the scriptures, it tells you out of Egypt. This is Exodus 13 and 14. It says, and it shall come to pass when thy sons ask thee in the time to come, saying, what is this? Thou shalt say unto him, by the strength of the hand of Yahweh brought us up from Egypt, from the house of bondage. So Egypt is synonymous with bondage, right? So it's not talking about the landmass. It's talking about the character of that place. It's a place of bondage, just like America is a place of bondage. So we went into captivity. We went into a place of bondage by the way of ships. And that's how we got into Babylon the Great, America, right? That was prophecy for us to go into slavery. Now, if you want to sit here and say, oh, well, the slaves were freed. So, now you got certain Jake that are doing good. Well, you're being dishonest. You're being dishonest because you're taking an outlier. You're taking this small percentage of Jake that's doing well and acting like, oh, because that small percentage is doing well, that we're no longer in a bad spot. Nah, we still in captivity. Jacob's trouble ain't come all the way yet. It's building. It's definitely building. But we're not all the way there yet. So this is Jeremiah 8 And I think I want to start up on this actually. Jeremiah 8 and I'll start at 14. It says, "Why do we sit still? Assemble yourselves and let us enter into the defense city. And let us be silent there. For Yahweh our power hath put us to silence and given us the water of gall to drink." And Jake is still drinking of that water of gall, man. I mean, shit, you just had the so-called nigger woman. She was the main proponent of the layoffs within the first quarter of 2025. And she accounted for 38% of all layoffs in 2025, the first quarter. Out of 275,000 jobs that were lost, she accounted for over 106,000 of them. That sounds like an onslaught. And let us be silent there, for Yahweh our power hath put us to silence and given us the water of gall to drink because we have sinned against him. And this is why Jake is in the situations they're in. We look for peace, but no good came, and for a time of health, and behold trouble. And that's still the state that you, Jake, is in. How are you out of Jacob's trouble? And it's going to get worse. It will get worse. Right? You haven't resisted under blood, like Paul said. The snorting of his horses was heard from Dan. The whole land trembled at the sound of the neighing of his strong ones, for they are come and have devoured the land and all that is in it, the city and those that dwell therein. And I believe this is talking about the Assyrians when they came in. Right? It says, "For behold, I will send serpents, cockatrices among you, which will not be charmed, and they shall bite you, said Yahweh. When I have comforted myself against sorrow, my heart is faint in me. Behold, the voice of the cry of the daughter of my people, because of them that dwell in a far country." And you're about to be in the same state right now. There's going to be a cry of Jake, of all the Jakes that dwell in these far cities, America being one of them. Is not Yahweh in Zion? Is not her king in her? Why have they provoked me to anger with their graven images and strange vanities? And Jake is still going into idol worship. This dude, his mindset and what he was talking about, like he said, we worship two gods, and he's right. We do. You worship, the God of self, because you try to make the scriptures out to be something else. I mean, look at you. You got lined up. Your face is shaven, right? But somehow you serving the Lord. You doing what's supposed to. No, you're not. You're not. You're still going off. So how do you think you out of Jacob's trouble? You about to go through it all over again because you still are provoking the Lord to anger. It says the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. So if we're not saved out of Jacob's trouble, you're not saved. There's a reason why when Yahushua was around, he said, "Blessed." That's Revelation 2. Let's get that. Revelation 2. I think it's the last couple of verses. Revelation 2 in 25. It says, "But that which ye have already hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh to keep my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nation." So if Jacob's trouble's already passed, what do you have to overcome? What do you got to endure? Right? Because there's another scripture that says, "Endure unto the end." This is Matthew 10 and 22. It says, "And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end, the same endure to the end shall be saved." Right? Matthew 24 and 13. "But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." So if Jacob's trouble is already passed, what do you have to endure? These are questions that you have to pose to these people that try to make these stupid ass statements to act like because you got a couple niggas doing good and you're able to take a fucking carnival cruise to wherever you want to go, where you get to work for your money instead of you just working for free, acting like you're out of Jacob's trouble, that you have choices and you got this freedom and this liberty. You're not. You're still in Jacob's trouble. You're in the hand of your enemies to this day. The scriptures tell you, Jeremiah 50:33, it says, "Thus say Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. All that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go." You see? How are you out of Jacob's trouble if you're still in the hand of your enemies? You're still in trouble. Now, Jacob's trouble entails a lot more, and it's going to encompass a great flight of affliction, right? This is Jeremiah 51 in 3. It says, "Against him that bendeth, let the archer..." No, this is not what I want. I think I wanted Isaiah. Yeah, Isaiah 51. Isaiah 51:3, it says, "For Yahweh shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places, and he will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of Yahweh. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody." Right? This is what we're waiting on. Hearken unto me, my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation, for the law shall proceed forth. For the law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgment to rest for a light of the people. Is that what I wanted? No, 13. 13 is what I wanted. Verse 12, it says, I am he that comforted you. Who art thou that shouldest be afraid of a man that shall die, and the son of man, which shall be made as the grass," talking about the heathen, right? "And forgettest Yahweh thy maker, that stretched forth the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth." Now, if you're always constantly afraid, like it said right there, you're looking at the heathen like something to be afraid of. How are you out of trouble? Right? The foundations of the earth, and has feared continually, right? I'm going to read that again. It says, "And laid the foundations of the earth," talking about the Lord, "and has feared continually every day because of the fury of the oppressor." How are you not in trouble? How is Jacob's trouble past, but you're still fearing the fury of your oppressor? As if he were ready to destroy, and where is the fury of the oppressor? Meaning, when the Lord comes and does his thing, where's the fury of the oppressor? Where's the power that he tried to boast himself of having? Right? Now, to break down Jeremiah 30, let's go there. Because you got to read the scriptures above and below. And once you do that, with understanding, you come to the conclusion like, yo, this couldn't be passed. This is still something that's coming. Jeremiah 30 in 5. "For thus say Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling and of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness." Now, when did a time like this happen on earth? When did a time like this happen? Because during the times of slavery, during the times of World War I, World War II, men were still fucking going straight up charging into the battle. Men were still coming in with a fucking lion-like demeanor. Right? Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Now, were you saved out of captivity? Were you saved out of slavery? If slavery was Jacob's trouble, Were you saved out of slavery? Because when you came out of slavery, they created all type of laws to still put you into a fucking hole. All right, you got redlining. Let me do this. Look, after slavery, look right here. I put predatory laws after slavery. After slavery ended, several laws were enacted in the South, collectively known as Black Codes, which aimed to limit the rights and freedoms of African Americans. Talk about Israelites. These laws, along with subsequent Jim Crow laws, served to perpetuate a system of white supremacy and racial discrimination purposes, to restrict the rights of the formerly enslaved people and maintain a system of racial hierarchy, right? Now, if you came out of slavery only to sit here and go through that right after, it doesn't sound like you were saved. It says vagrancy laws made it a crime to be unemployed during, leading to arrest and forced labor, according to PBS. Now, if you were just came out of slavery, you were kicked off the plantation. Plantation owner didn't want to pay you. So you had to sit here and live in the woods because you ain't had nowhere to go. You didn't have no money. So what did they do? They made a law to sit there legally, put you right back into slavery. It says restrictions of economic activities limited the ability to work in certain professions and restricted property ownership, according to the Jim Crow Museum. You weren't able to own anything. Looks like you weren't saved. Because what does the scripture say? Of whom do let's get it. Matthew 17 and 25. He said, yes. And when he was come into the house, Yahushua prevented him, saying, what thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Peter saith unto him, of strangers. Yahushua saith unto him, then are the children free. So if you came out of slavery, you were forced into certain professions, you still had to pay taxes, you still had to sit here and pay all these tributes. Were you free? No. So we're not free. It don't matter if the other heathen and other nations have to sit here and pay taxes as well. That don't matter. They're of no consequence to the Lord. The Lord said it himself. He said, all the nations are as the small dust of the balance and counted as nothing and next to nothing, right? They're worthless. Only Israel is really the ones that the Lord care about. It says limitations of legal system. Denied the right to serve on injuries, testify against whites, and participate fully in the justice system, according to the Khan Academy, right? So you didn't even get any justice when you were dealt wrong, which is why a lot of Jake that sat there and saw Esau lynch people, murder them, then come in there and try to sit here and put up be a witness to the crime. They were denied the position to be able to be a witness to the crime because you couldn't stand up against a white person. If you got done wrong by an Edomite, you couldn't bring that person and sue them because it was illegal. How are you free if that's what's happening? Right? Jim Crow laws to enforce segregation and maintain white supremacy in all aspects of life, according to PBC, says segregation mandated the separation of facilities, which that wasn't bad. It's good to be segregated, the Lord, because then you get around your own people and you look for the best for your own people, not for everybody else. Restrictions on voting rights, violence and intimidation used to maintain racial order, including lynchings and other acts of terror. Right? Predatory lending to exploit vulnerable populations, including African Americans, through unfair and often illegal lending practices, high interest rate loans, right? Unfair loan terms, using deceptive or misleading language to hide the true cost of borrowing, predatory mortgage practices targeting African Americans with subprime mortgages, that were likely to fail, leading to foreclosures and economic hardship. How are you out of Jacob's trouble? It didn't happen. Now, when you go back to Jeremiah 30 and 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is the even time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. How are you saved? Obviously, there was a time that's still yet to come where you're going to have to saved out of it. And we get saved this time, we're not going back into captivity. The scriptures tell you affliction shall not rise up a second time. Right? Now, when you read on, it says, for it shall come to pass in that day, say Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and I will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves with thee. Now, when we went through all that history right now of all the predatory laws that came about after slavery, and this is in that same time, right after Jacob's trouble, right? The Lord said what? He would break the yoke off your neck. He would burst the bonds, and the heathen wouldn't be able to serve themselves of you. When you go through that, they were all able to still do that. So how did we come out of Jacob's trouble already? It says, but they serve Yahweh their power, and David their king, whom I will rise up unto them. Now, in slavery, if the end of slavery was the end of Jacob's trouble, where's King David? Where is he? Because that wasn't the time. That wasn't the time. We coming into Jacob's trouble now. And one of those things is going to be a big fixture for Jacob's trouble. Right? Is the time of the mark of the beast. That implantable seed. This system that they're building right now, that they're getting ready to push right now. Revelation 3 and 10, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So if this time is coming to dwell upon all them that dwell upon the earth, it's going to be Jake everywhere that's going to be in it. That sounds like a time of trouble. Right? Where if you don't do what these devils say, which if you don't sit here and go into their system the way they want, you're gonna fall. You're gonna be beheaded. That's the time of Jacob's trouble. The scriptures talk about a great insurrection shall be upon those that fear the Most High. Right? This is the time we're coming to. That is part of Jacob's trouble. We ain't going through Jacob's trouble yet, but you about to. Jeremiah 16, I'll end it on this one. Jeremiah 16 and 14, it says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, right? Well, we're still talking about the deliverance from Egypt. People are all still talking about the deliverance from Egypt. So if there's going to be a day that was going to be like none other, obviously, if we're still talking about the deliverance out of Egypt for the children of Israel, that day that was going to be like none other still hasn't come. But Yahweh liveth that brought it up the children of Israel from the land of the north, talking about North America, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, right? Were we not driven in America, North America, South America, Central America, the islands, the Caribbean islands, all the nations of the earth, really, right? And from the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. And we're still waiting for that. The time of Jacob's trouble's on the way, and we ain't gone through it yet. These niggas that want to sit here and act like because slavery's over, and you can go get a cheeseburger when you want, a 2-for-2 deal, and you got to choose that meal, that you somehow out of out of captivity. You've gone through your trouble. No, you got way more to go through. We all do. We got to come through that fiery gate, man. We got to walk that straight line even when things go south. But Lord willing, to edify them and say, call Allah, Yahweh Shemar, Shai Bashimar, Crocodile, Shalom.